All right, welcome to the Sports Mashup, number 85, November 16th, 2022. As the weather begins to get super cold where we're at in the Midwest. Looks like it might warm up, though, a little bit after that, but you're not here for a weather report. So the NBA is where we begin, and 76ers James Harden was expected to miss a month. I'm sure it'll be a month total, but obviously when this news broke, it was a little bit ago, so a right foot tendon strain, so a few weeks probably left for him to be out. Sixers not off to the greatest of starts. I feel like you could say that about a lot of the Eastern Conference teams that had expectations, other than the Celtics and Bucks, who have been really good. The Hawks and Cavs have been solid. Wizards a bit of a surprise, but the Sixers at 7-7, the Bulls at 6-8, the Heat at 7-7, the Nets at 6-9. Kind of a trend in the East.
No, but did you see that clip of Game 7, Jimmy Butler the other day? Locking him down?
Didn't see it. Did not see it.
And then you have the Hornets, Cody Martin out 4 weeks after arthroscopy knee surgery. You have the Nets named Jacques Vaughn as their new head coach. And lastly, in the NBA, you had Jason Tatum reached 8,000 career points at 24 years old, 253 days old. He's the youngest Celtics player to reach 8,000 points. He also joined Kevin McHale 86-87 team as the only Boston player to score at least 20 points in each of the team's first 12 games of the season.
Well, good start for him. Like I said, they're them and the Bucks right there, top of the Eastern Conference. So not really a surprise.
How does Kevin McHale have that record? Where's Larry Bird in that?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe sometimes things happen like that. No rhyme or reason. All right, the NFL. Texans claiming Arizona Cardinals running back, who was a surprise cut, Eno Benjamin, was starting when Connor was hurt, I believe, and they cut him loose. And they also claimed Packers wide receiver Amari Rodgers off waivers. And as the resident Packers fan of this podcast, my thoughts being that I don't think the Packers should have cut Amari Rodgers, but I think they did it in the best interest of him getting a fresh start because he was terrible at punt returning, really bad. He should have been taken off punt returns a month ago, and obviously pretty much cost him 7 points in the third quarter of the game this week. Luckily, they came back, but he was good in the offense. So hopefully the Texans can actually use him in their offense, and I think he's still got a lot of potential.
See, Thursday Night Football, the Panthers beat the Falcons 25-15. Panthers literally ran the Falcons off the field, 47 attempts for 232 yards.
Well, when you don't have a high-level quarterback, you got to rely on being able to run the football, and they did that. And I would say that Marcus Mariota made a fool of himself in this game. He was really bad.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a lopsided win the other way.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the way the NFL has been this year. I mean, there was a lot of results this week that were a bit surprising in terms of margins, in terms of how the games ended, how the games were played. But, yeah, Mariota was bad. And they've been questioning a lot Arthur Smith about his quarterback situation. He says there's no situation, but at some point, if they keep losing, I think Desmond Ridder, you got to give him a look because you can't just treat Mariota like he's a $200 million quarterback. He's just not that. So he was really bad, though, no doubt. In Germany, great crowd in Germany from everything that I saw. Really good stuff.
Rocky Top.
Really good stuff. The Bucks beat the Seahawks 21-16. The Bucks win their second straight after Brady throws for 258 and 2 touchdowns. Rashad White with 105 rushing yards. I'll say Geno Smith made some pretty gutsy throws down the stretch, but the Bucks were able to hold on.
So did Leonard Fournette.
True. That's true. But, I mean, hey, the Bucks win again. What are they? Are they 5-5?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I think they're I think they were 3-5 and they beat the Rams and the
And I totally blew it. It wasn't Rocky Top that they sang. It was Take Me Home.
Yeah. I don't remember anything that happened on Sunday except for the Packer game, so that's kind of where I'm at. But hey, the Bucks an ugly 5-5, but they're probably still going to win their division. So there you go.
The Vikings beat the Bills in overtime 33-30. So far, this is dawned as the game of the year. Was it, though, or is it?
I don't know what other contenders there really are. I'd have to look to even formulate.
You can't dawn something the game of the year when it's not over. If they would have said, like, game of through week 10, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, the Vikings, let's be honest about the Vikings. I mean, I get that they're 8-1, but it's like this is just like a normal Viking season, except the luck or the other parts of the game happen to go their way now. Like random turnovers, like last season and almost there's always that year where the Vikings do this. It was the same way in 2018 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. The Vikings had a big year that year, obviously the Minneapolis Miracle. But this season for the Vikings, they're obviously more talented, better team than they were last year. But last year they were in tons of close games. This year it's the same thing. They're just happening to being able to finish or win those games.
Yeah, this year they have the ball last. Other than last year, it was relying on their defense and their defense giving up games.
And, you look at the Bills side of things. I mean, Josh Allen's been really, really, really bad since the second half. Yeah. Well, the second half against Green Bay, he was bad. Carries over to the Jets game, he was bad. He got hurt in the Jets game. Plays with an injury in this game.
Got hurt at one point.
Yep, got hurt. Well, he threw a terrible pick in the end zone. And then a terrible pick in the end zone again in overtime to end it. But I still think the Chiefs and the Eagles, I would even say the Bills by January are better than the Vikings. And that's not me being a Packer fan, being a hater. The Vikings are a good team, zero doubt about that. But they're not 8-1 good. And I think anybody who isn't a blind Vikings fan or, painfully biased would agree that they're not 8-1 good. They're like 6-3 good.
Adding Hawkinson in definitely helped.
Yeah, and Zadarius Smith has been great for them. Obviously, stings a little bit that he was a Packer, but then again, the Packers' pass rush wasn't that big of an issue until Rashawn Gary got hurt. But, enough about the Packers. Let's go to another NFC North game. The Lions, 31-30 thriller over the Bears. Justin Fields, who is a running back, and you can't convince me otherwise, there's a late pick six. I just love how mad Bears fans get when people call him a running back. The Lions win another game, though, and the Lions are probably saving Dan Campbell's job, and I would say that Dan Campbell's the worst coach in football when it comes to football. And people don't want to say that because of the personality, but when you talk about X's and O's and calls that he makes, he's really bad at the job. I mean, let's just be honest. But the Lions are 3-6, 3-7 or whatever, so what can you say? They score points. The only game they've won this season without scoring points was the stupid Packer game last week, which I somehow find a way to reference the Packers in every single game, but that's relevant. They beat the Packers and Bears back-to-back weeks. But, I think Justin Fields is the guy in Chicago. I think when they put more around him, he'll be even better. But the most effective way for him to play right now is to run. And I think teams are going to figure that out eventually or figure out how to play him eventually. They don't know right now, but they're scoring points, so it's a little different. Their defense is terrible, though.
Yeah, and then you have the Chiefs beat the Jags 27-17. This game went like everyone expected. Chiefs just to win, coast. They did lose Juju.
Yeah, it felt like it was going to be a much bigger blowout early. The Chiefs were, running up and down the field. They did have a couple issues or turnovers that didn't go their way. But, yeah, I mean, nobody's surprised the Chiefs were able to handle business here.
And Andy Reid did what Andy Reid does, and he takes a running back totally out of the offense for a week. Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't even get an offensive snap.
Yeah, that's pretty much why the Chiefs are never going to be – like, Andy Reid teams never really have a true, number one. Like, LaShawn McCoy, I guess, back in the day for Philly.
Jamal Charles when he first was there?
Yeah, I think was Jamal Charles still there? I guess Andy Reid's been in Kansas City a lot longer than you think, so he probably was still there. The Dolphins beat the Browns 39-17. The Dolphins, in my opinion, have the best offense in football, and I think Tua should be compensated by winning the MVP.
He's the highest favorite. He's the highest QBR or completion rating in the.
And
NFL.
You talk about valuable. They're undefeated when he plays. So seems pretty valuable to me. His completion percentage is like college type stuff in some of these games. 71% of the season, he's got 18 touchdowns, 3 picks, 118.4 rating. I mean, speed kills, right? Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have just been incredible for them. So
and adding Jeff Wilson to that offense.
yeah, the Dolphins have lacked a running game for a while. So this season they don't go for the flashy one. They bring in Wilson at the deadline. They have Mostert. So yeah, it's not too surprising that they've been this good, but it's been like no real hiccups when Tua's playing. So they've been dominant.
The Giants beat the Texans 24-14. Giants back to winning, but need help in the wide receiver department.
Yep, they pretty much refuse to use Kenny Golladay, and I think that's more on Kenny Golladay than the Giants, if we're being fair. But they have a certain way of winning, and I think when teams can shut that way down, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it helped they played the Texans last week, but who knows? And they still got the Odell suspected, how he's supposed to be limited his teams down to such, and the Giants are back to one of them. So
yeah, we'll see. The Giants play the Lions this week, so probably another win there. Just keep racking them up. I wouldn't think the Lions could win 3 games in a row, but you never know. The Steelers beat the Saints 20-10. This was a boring game. Unsurprisingly, a defensive battle. The Saints are terrible, though.
But they did say they're sticking with Andy Dalton.
Which, I mean, I wouldn't blame this game on him, but you're not going to win with him. And there's no real incentive in the first round of the draft for them to lose because the Eagles have their pick. But, yeah, they're bad.
Yeah, and what's killing me is having Kamara as my fantasy running back. You've been using. They 1 week they'll use him really heavy, like last week. This past week they barely use him.
Yeah, so 1 week he'll have like 8 touchdowns, and then the next week he won't.
Last week was his first score of the year.
Yeah, and he had a lot.
And then this week he has like 13 touches.
Not great.
The Titans beat the Broncos 17-10. Battle of 2 bad teams. One just has a bigger workhorse.
That's true. The Broncos are terrible.
I mean, the only thing that keeps them in the game is the defense. And even without them even with them losing Bradley Chubb, they are still keeping the offense in the game.
And it's like they don't even have a new quarterback. I mean, this is exactly how the Broncos have run since Manning was gone. They've never really had that franchise quarterback after him, and it's no different even when they trade all that stuff for Russell Wilson. They pay him. They're still just as bad.
Cortland Sutton did make an unbelievable catch in that game, though.
I don't think I saw it, but I'll take it.
He either was sliding sideways or he dove back towards Wilson, and while horizontal on the ground, he pulled his hands up and caught it right in front of his face.
Sounds good. Colts beat the Raiders 25-20. Jeff Saturday 1-0 to start his coaching career. I mean, I feel like everybody should have seen this coming with everybody talking the way they did about him all week. And you got a terrible Raiders team. I felt like we should have seen this coming.
Yeah, no Renfro, no Waller. They're both placed on IR.
Yeah.
And then so people were saying every week whoever's playing the Raiders are going to pull a high school football coach with no really coaching experience to come and coach against them. This week I saw that whoever the Raiders were playing, they were signing Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights to come and coach.
There you go. That'll probably work. Yeah, McDaniels has been really bad there.
And I said that when we talked about coaches who needed fired earlier, I said he might be on the hot seat.
Yeah, I don't think that he'll get fired, but I definitely think he should. I mean, clearly there's something wrong there. And
you gave him a try early. It didn't work. You brought him back over who the team really wanted.
Yep. Not good.
Cardinals beat the Rams 27-17. Battle of the backup quarterbacks. Difference is the Cardinals have a guy who's actually started in the NFL as their backup over the Rams. What is it, Jack Wolford?
Yeah, John Wolford.
Versus Colt McCoy.
It's just like 2 years of the Cardinals being a better team with Colt McCoy as their quarterback.
And then people saying that Wofford injured Cooper Kupp. Like, he'd already heard it the week before. He probably shouldn't have been playing this game.
Yeah, that's probably true. And the Rams, both these teams have been a disaster. So this result doesn't even really matter, I wouldn't think, in the grand scheme, just because I don't think either of these teams has a shot at the playoffs, unless Colt McCoy is the quarterback for the rest of the year in Arizona, which he won't be.
Yeah.
The Packers finally get a win. They beat the Cowboys 31-28. A thriller in overtime, being down 28-14 in the fourth, spoiling McCarthy's return to Lambeau. And, it's nice to win a game. That's really my overall thoughts. It's been a while. It's been since October against the Patriots. So
I tweeted you during this game just wishing that your quarterback would throw to his tight end some more.
Yeah, I don't think they've really used Tunyon very much in the offense this season. I mean, usually when the LaFleur offense is going well, they're using tight ends in certain spots, and they haven't really used them that much. I think the one game that comes to mind is the Washington game where he had 9 receptions. But other than that, it hasn't been much. And this was a Christian Watson game.
1 catch, 8 yards. I might have been on 2 targets.
Yeah, not great.
Sunday Night Football, you had the Niners beat the Chargers 22-20. Niners shut out Chargers in the second half to come back and win.
Yeah.
Chargers just, I don't know what's going on. We thought they could run away with that division beginning of the year, or at least be in the top 2. And
I just don't think that Staley is a good coach.
I mean, yeah, they've had defensive injuries.
Staley is not a good coach, in my opinion, and they lack the ability to close games. The Niners are just a team you never want to bet against. I don't know.
And them getting McCaffrey and Garoppolo being the starter has definitely helped that team.
Yeah, no doubt. Then Monday Night Football, you had the Commanders beat the Eagles 32-21. Heineke is a winner, apparently. I mean, they've won games with him. They couldn't win with Carson Wentz. I thought the clear decision at the beginning of the season was to just roll with Heineke, but they decided to bring Wentz in. And, I mean, they win again.
And he's supposed to be coming back this week. Don't know which way they're going to roll with.
And there's no way you could start Wentz.
Rivera said that game, that how Heineke played in this game would determine it. And yeah, Heineke didn't throw a touchdown, but
they won the game, and they beat the Eagles, which the Eagles had kind of a target on their back, obviously being undefeated. So they were going to lose at some point, and it was probably going to be an unexpected one, and that's what this is.
One thing I had from the NFL was Mike Mayock's first-round picks. Henry Ruggs released, arrested. Damon Arnett released, arrested. Jonathan Abram released. Alex Leatherwood released. Most sacks by any rookie. Clelin Ferrell, big disappointment. Josh Jacobs, best overall pick.
Yeah, it was a disaster for a while, and still is.
Jonathan Abrams went where?
Green Bay. Or he's a special teams guy, pretty much.
Oh, he's not playing with Adrian Amos?
No, they had Rudy Ford back there last week.
Oh, I guess he's signed late in the week and everything.
Yeah. Plus, Rudy Ford has certainly played his way into the rotation, had 2 picks of Dak in that game. So,
but then, does Amos and Abrams play the same position as well?
I don't know. I feel like Abram would be able to play either, given the fact that he's pretty much just scrapping for.
But those two both came in the league with the same mentality. Like, they could play their thing, and they were hard hitters.
Yeah, which is not what Darnell Savage is at all. So that's the difference. Golf.
Oh, yeah. So 2 weeks ago, you had the Worldwide Technology Championship. Winner was Russell Henley. Won $1.5 million, shot 23 under. Last week was the Cadence Bank Houston Open. Winner was Tony Finau. Won $1.5 million, shot 16 under. This weekend, the RSM Classic. Defending champion Taylor Gooch at Sea Island Resort, Seaside Course, and Plantation Course in St. Simons Islands, Georgia.
All right, let's go to college basketball.
Oh, golf too. You have the match with Rory and Tiger versus JT and Spieth. I did see there were some things saying they wish there was an undercard to some of these matches.
I
Maybe
think that would be cool.
there was like maybe get some LPGA players involved or get Tom Kim on with some other young international studs. Use this platform to grow the sport.
Yeah, I think that could be a good idea. We'll see if they ever do it. I mean, this is another 12-hole match, so we'll see how it goes. I don't love the fact that it's 12 holes. I mean, I don't really see the overall point of it being that, but whatever, we'll roll with it. I think Rory's going to win it himself, but, maybe carry Tiger.
You got Roy and Tiger, and then you got the best buds and JT and
who were great at the President's Cup. So, yeah. College hoops, Bob Huggins says that Gonzaga would face an awakening in the Big 12, which I wrote, I don't buy that because I think Gonzaga is right now, and I know it's a grind every night, they would face an awakening of, this is different. I don't think they would face an awakening of, we finished 7th in the Big 12. They are, as currently constructed every year, preseason polls in the Big 12 would have them 2nd or 3rd, maybe even 1st every year.
Only awakening thing would be them having to travel from the West Coast to the East Coast for games.
Yeah, I don't think that they would face an awakening of there's also environments too on the road in the Big 12 is different than the West Coast Conference, but I don't think it changes the fact that Gonzaga is one of the most talented teams because we just act like a lot of people still act like they're just a really good mid-major school that dominates. They get the 5-star talent now, and they've had.
It's not like it was when Adam Morrison was there.
Yeah, it's a long time from that. So I don't know. We'll see. They might end up in the Big 12. It seems like a very real possibility right now. The ACC. ... Louisville is 0-3 with losses to Bellarmine, Wright State, and App State. Florida State is 0-3 with losses to Stetson, UCF, and Troy. Florida State injuries, definitely a factor. Also the suspension to one of their best freshmen as well. And then Louisville is just a bad basketball team. So something to keep an eye on the ACC. Also Syracuse giving up 100 points to Colgate and losing last night. I think the ACC is kind of like I don't think it's going to be the same situation as last year where everyone said they were terrible and then they ended up having a big tournament. I just think they're mostly terrible, and it's North Carolina, it's Duke, it's Virginia, and then a bunch of teams that I don't trust.
Yeah, I feel like Syracuse, can lose to anybody, any even mid-major team on any night because of zone. If you get a mid-major team who has a bunch of shooters, anybody can outshoot that zone.
Yeah. Syracuse is also just a bad roster this year. They're not good at all. I think everybody knew this would probably end up being the case. And it's clearly been that because getting beat up by Colgate that's pretty embarrassing.
Oh, I see you added this one thing in here for me to read about last night's games. Gonzaga holds off Michigan State on the USS Abraham Lincoln flight deck, 64-63. Michigan State beat Kentucky in double overtime. I thought it was triple overtime in the Champions Classic last night.
I believe it was double.
Kansas beat Duke in a comeback. I don't know if it was really much of a comeback, though.
Well, they were down late.
They were up early, up at half. Duke battled back, took the lead. Kansas made 2 clutch buckets at the end of the game. And then Wisconsin defeats Stanford at the Brewers Field, American Family Field, 60-50.
I think if you're a Duke fan, you got to be encouraged by last night. You don't have Whitehead out there. The length, obviously, for Duke is going to be a problem for everybody. I think this Duke team could be better than last season by February.
And Niley's still not really 100%.
Yeah, and Filipowski looks really good. Roach is another year there, so veteran. And then, obviously, you got some players from the Big Ten that are depth guys. I don't think Ryan Young's going to be starting within the next month. But then you got Jacob Grandison as well, who didn't really do anything last night. But deep team, encouraging signs like they beat up on Jacksonville, who I thought was a decent mid-major team that could at least put up some sort of fight, but that didn't happen. And then last night, they could have won that game.
Yeah. Shot selection. Top 25. Number 1, North Carolina. 2, Gonzaga. 3, Houston. 4, Kentucky. Up 1 to number 5 is Baylor.
You have Kansas dropping 1 to 6. You have Duke 7, UCLA 8, Arkansas up 1 to 9. Creighton drops 1 to 10.
Texas up 1 to 11. Indiana up 1 to 12. Auburn up 2 to 13. Arizona up 3 to 14. TCU drops 1 to 15.
You have Virginia up 2 to 16. San Diego State up 2 to 17. You have Alabama up 2 to 18. Illinois up 4 to 19. And Michigan up 2 to 20.
Dayton up 3 to 21. Tennessee down 11 to 22. Texas Tech up 2 to 23. Texas A&M unranked, and UConn not ranked at 25.
All right, let's go over to Major League Baseball, where the World Series is over since the last time we did this.
Yeah, Verlander got his first World Series win in a pivotal Game 5.
Syndergaard only throws 3 innings in Game 5 for the Phillies, 44 pitches, 2 earned, 3 hits.
Yeah, questionable poll.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But I'll also say, Syndergaard, at this point, I don't think he's like a 200 innings guy, hurt all the time.
Dusty Baker becomes the oldest manager to win World Series at 73 years old.
And the World Series is over. The Astros win it 4-2 in 6 games.
Yeah, and then player of the World Series, I picked shortstop Jeremy Pena, 10 for 25, 2 runs, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 1 walk. World Series MVP, 3rd rookie to do so, 1st rookie shortstop to hit a homer in the World Series.
Yeah, that's my pick as well. I mean, he's the World Series MVP. Kind of, has to feel great if you're the Astros that you let Correa walk and the guy you replace him with does this. That works. I mean, that's big time for the Astros. But don't tell that to their GM because he got fired. But anyway.
Yeah, and then, baseball things, you had some finalists, which you'll be able to tell me who won them. MVP, American League was Judge, Ohtani, and Alvarez.
Which I believe they're announcing that tomorrow, but it's going to be Judge. Shocker, by the way.
National League, Machado, Goldschmidt, Arenado.
Announced tomorrow. Shocking, it's going to be Goldschmidt.
Cy Young, Cease, Verlander, Manoah.
That will be announced in about maybe right now. Let me check. I mean, they're supposed to be announced tonight, so you could just say the NL if you want.
Alcantara, Fried, Urias.
Okay, I don't believe they've announced them yet, but the general consensus is Verlander in the AL and then Alcantara in the NL.
Which I think Cease had a better season.
I think Cease probably ended slowly to where Verlander kind of took over.
Rookie of the year was Rodriguez, Rushman, and Kwan. NL was Strider, Harris, and Donovan.
Winners, Rodriguez in the AL and Harris in the NL.
Manager of the year, Hyde, Cervez, Francona. Showalter, Roberts, Snicker.
Showalter. So there you go.
You get this, some Aaron Judge senior year stats. Football, he had 54 catches, 969 yards, 17 touchdowns. Baseball, he hit for 500, had 7 home runs, 32 RBIs. Basketball, 18.2 points per game, 12.8 rebounds. All-state.
It's not surprising, given.
Surprising that he made All-state with those numbers in California.
That's true.
Most teams with MVPs, Yankees and Cardinals are up top of that. Yankees have 20, Cardinals have 17. Goldie and Arenado both got Silver Sluggers. Arenado won he's now a 6-time Platinum Glove winner. Top free agents at each position. Catcher, you got Contreras, Vasquez, and Sanchez. First base, you had Rizzo, Abreu, and Bell. Rizzo signed a big deal back with the Yankees. Second base, Segura Hernandez Frazier, second base. Shortstop, Correa, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts. Third base, Turner, Drury, Peterson. DH, Martinez, Cruz, Matt Carpenter. Left field, Benny, Brantley, Profar. Center, Nemo, Kiermaier, Duval. Right field, Judge, Conforto, Myers. Starting pitchers, DeGrom, Verlander, Rodon, Kershaw, Bassett. Relief pitchers, Jansen, Robertson, Montero, Ottavino, and Smith.
All right. Let's go to the
Highest WAR by shortstops for the last 3 years. Who do you think's got the highest WAR?
3 years. Trey Turner.
He's in second at 14.2. Correa at 14.3. Bogarts 12.2. Willie Adams 10.5. Bo Bichette 10.5. Dansby Swanson 10.4.
I was on the right track.
And then the last thing I had was the Yankees record in 2022 with Joey Gallo in the lineup, 70-34. Without him, 29-29.
Interesting. All right, you ready to move to the NHL?
Yes, send it.
Here we go. The Devils, they've won 10 games in a row. They're now 13-3-0, second in the league. Bad start for them. They were chanting to fire. I'll get to that. Chanting to fire Lindy Ruff, the head coach, and now they're 13-3, so he's not going anywhere. NHL stat leaders through November, that should say November 15th. Point leader is Connor McDavid with 32. Goals leader is Connor McDavid with 15. Assist leader is Nathan McKinnon with 20. Goaltending, you have a wins leader is still Linus Olmark, the Bruins at 11. And he also leads in save percentage at .936. And as you alluded to a moment ago, the Bruins are the team points leader with 28, 14-2-0. Unfortunately, they will soon slow down and not win a Stanley Cup, but that's all right. They're doing well now. So there you go. College football playoff rankings.
Number 1, Georgia. 2, Ohio State. 3, Michigan. 4, TCU. 5, Tennessee.
No movement in the top 5. You had a lot of movement outside of that, though. You had LSU up 1-6, USC up 1-7, Alabama 8, Clemson 9. Both of those teams up 1, and Utah up 3-10.
And the Penn State up 3-11, Oregon down 6-12, North Carolina up 2-13. Ole Miss down 3-14. Kansas State up 4-15.
UCLA down 4-16. Washington up 8-17. Notre Dame up 2-18. Florida State up 4-19, and UCF up 2-20.
Tulane down 4-21. OK State not ranked at 22. Oregon State not ranked at 23. NC State drops 8-24, and Cincinnati rounds out the top 25 of being not ranked.
All right, let's get over to the picks. It's been a couple weeks. We have college basketball incorporated now. No golf picks this week. So let's start with the NBA for tonight, since we don't have much time to get those out.
You got the Pelicans -1.5 over the Bulls, and the Nuggets -3 over the Knicks.
So I'm just going to go what I wrote down. And I wrote down the Bulls +2 at the Pelicans. So if you want me to change that to 1.5, I can. But either way, I like the Bulls as the dog. And then I have the Nuggets -3 against the Knicks. So, all right, NHL. NHL.
Lightning -125 over the Flames, and Islanders +100 over the Predators.
I'm taking the Avalanche +100 at the Canes and the Devils to keep it rolling +120 at the Leafs. And now let's do college hoops.
For Thursday, I have both games out of the A10. Richmond over Wichita State and Loyola Chicago over Tulsa.
I'm going Towson over UNC Greensboro and then St. John's over Nebraska.
Friday, I have Indiana over Xavier and Florida over Florida State.
I'm picking both main event Vegas games. I'm taking Baylor over Virginia. I'm taking UCLA over Illinois.
Saturday, I have Dayton over Robert Morris. And out of the Mountain West, I have New Mexico over New Mexico State.
I'm taking St. Louis over Maryland, and I'm taking Mercer over Winthrop. All right. Let's do college football, week 12.
ACC, I have Duke plus 7.5 over Pitt.
I have Clemson minus 19 against Miami.
Big 12, Oklahoma State plus 7.5 over Oklahoma.
Big 12, lock of the week. Everybody loves TCU right now. Trap game central. They beat Texas last week. Gritty effort. Shut down a good Texas offense. Everyone's going to be stunned when Baylor gets it done plus 2.5 against TCU.
I thought when I looked at that Baylor was the favorite.
Yeah, that's a low number, but I'm going to roll with
it. Big 10, I have Minnesota minus 2.5 over Iowa.
I think Ohio State's going to win, but I'm going to say they won't cover. I'll take Maryland plus 27.5.
Pac-12, Oregon State minus 8 over Arizona State.
I'm going to take Stanford plus 4.5 at Cal.
SEC, Ole Miss minus 2.5 over Arkansas.
That is what I'm taking as well.
Arkansas started the year out hot and then has just dropped. Our 3 primetime games, you got Illinois at number 3 Michigan minus 18.
I'm taking Illinois to keep it close. Why not? I don't know. I mean, they've been terrible, so you figure they'd figure it out this week a little bit, maybe lose by 14.
I'm going to take Michigan.
It's probably a safe pick.
You got number 10 Utah at number 12 Oregon. Oregon minus 3.
I would like Oregon to prove to me that they can beat Utah because I'm going to pick Utah regardless until it happens. So Utah, I'll take that.
I'm going to take Oregon. And then lastly, number 7 USC versus number 10 UCLA or 16 UCLA. USC minus 2.5.
I'll take the Trojans minus 2.5. I mean, UCLA was terrible last week. That's such a bad loss.
I'm also taking USC.
And USC's the last chance for the Pac-12. So,
and to end our college football, shout out to the people at Virginia.
Yeah. Terrible, tragic event. Thoughts with them for sure. Okay. The NFL Week 11. There we go.
Thursday night football. Titans at Packers. Packers 3.5-point favorite.
I wish the NFL would let me enjoy a victory that I haven't seen in over a month for more than 3 days, but I think the Packers win again. I think they figured something out. I think it's going to be really cold there, bad weather. I like that. I'll take the Packers minus 3.5.
I think the Packers win, but I'm taking the Titans plus the 3.5. I think it's going to be a field goal game.
Well, last time the Titans went into Lambeau in December. That was in December, Sunday night. Packers beat them 40-14. I don't know if it's going to be the same result because it's definitely not because Devontae Adams had like 180 yards in that game and it was snowing. But I don't know. I like the chances here. Who knows?
My 5 Sunday games. I got the Giants minus 3 over the Lions. Commanders minus 3.5 over the Texans. Eagles minus 7 over the Colts. Vikings plus 1.5 over the Cowboys. Bengals minus 4 over the Steelers.
I'm taking the Bears plus 3.5 at the Falcons. The Patriots minus 3 against the Jets. Cowboys minus 1.5 at the Vikings. Bengals minus 4 at the Steelers. And the Colts plus 6.5 against the Eagles.
You better make that 7. I gave you the other half. You're going to lose that half.
All right, I better do
that. Sunday night football, Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs are a 6-point favorite.
Yep, Chargers are not winning that. I'll take the Chiefs. High-scoring affair.
Let's see. Monday night football, 49ers at Cardinals. Niners minus 8.
I don't pick against the Niners unless I'm forced to, so I'll take the Niners.
I'm going to take the Cardinals to somewhat keep it close.
I can see that happening.
I mean, at least the Cardinals have a pass rush, and Jimmy G is not really much of a mover.
True. That is true. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you next week for number 86. Cover a lot of the same stuff next week, notes and such, getting closer and closer to bowl games for college football. So we'll keep posted on that and other things in the sports world. We'll see you next week for number 86.